I know it's a whole new thing walking into your own video, but hey, this is what you do when you're socially isolating. Welcome to May 2020. It's really quite interesting and exciting news in a lot of ways. If you're a consumer, especially if you're a seller, maybe a little bit less interesting for a realtor, but here it is. Sales are down 44% over May of last year. Now that's better than we had in April, but it's still miles off. But what's interesting is active listings are down 50% since last year. So what does that mean? It means that we're still in this crazy busy market because we've got 1.4 months worth of standing inventory. That's worse than we were in 2019. We're in a tighter market in the midst of COVID than we were last year. Now, it's a smaller market, but it's correspondingly small on the inventory side as well. So prices are holding like crazy. They're actually increasing. So what's happening in terms of sales? Well, April versus May, we've had a nice increase. Now again, they're both at like half of normal volume, but quite a bit more activity coming back in the marketplace in May. And I would assume that we'll have even more come back in June. Meanwhile, active listings haven't gone up a lot, right? So probably they'll come to market at some point, but I guess there's probably a bit of a sentiment, if you don't need to sell, you don't. So very little increase in inventory, bunch of increase in sales. What does that translate into? April, we had 2 months of standing inventory. Now we have 1.4. Guess what? Guess what that does to prices? We'll show you. Anyways, here's what's happening seasonally. We're not following a typical year. Typically we'd peak through the second quarter and then we'd have a slow gradual decline into the fall. This year, of course, we've got a real decline in Q2. It's the COVID decline, let's face it. It's nothing else happening other than that. What's happening from a price standpoint? The average residential sale in Ottawa is now almost $550,000. The average condo in Ottawa is just hovering around $350,000. Those represent an 11.2% increase over a year ago on the residential properties and a 15% increase, 15.5% increase on the condos. Now, CMHC is going to try and slow the market in July by putting some restrictions on finances a little bit, kind of shrink your budget to try and, soften the market essentially. So I'll tell you what I think that does. It probably puts even more pressure on the entry-level stuff because it's going to push people's budgets down a little bit. There doesn't seem to be any end in sight for Ottawa. It's an incredibly busy market in terms of multiple offers and all that kind of stuff, which is what you find when you've got less than 2 months of inventory. So very, very exciting times to be a seller. Numbers we've never seen before. Buyers, of course, struggling to find a place and really needing some help navigating what's happening. And realtors are probably less than thrilled because we're doing half the volume we usually do, or many agents are doing half the volume they usually do. But that's kind of the lay of the land. My assumption is that June gets stronger, partially out of the threat of the CMHC stuff that comes into effect in July, and partially just as people ease their fears, re-enter the market, and feel like, let's do something this year. So very exciting. We'll be back to tell you what's happening in June. Please be safe, take good care of yourself, and I can't wait to see all of you in person, see your lovely faces. All the best. You know where to find us if there's anything we can do to help.